Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to be making a tier list of the things that I stopped doing that actually made me good at calisthenics. If you don't know how these tier lists work, the S tier is basically the top and D tier is the bottom. So if I put something into S tier, it means that it made me very good at calisthenics whenever I stopped doing that. So without further ado, let's get into the first one. Okay, so the first one we have on the list is training legs. Now, I used to be a person that trained legs. I did CrossFit for a while before I got into calisthenics. And I can tell you without a doubt that it is going to hurt you a lot in your calisthenics journey if you have too much mass on your lower body. And the reason why is kind of obvious. So if your lower body is heavier, that also means that performing any calisthenics move is going to be harder. Because 99% of calisthenics moves is done by your upper body. So it's pretty much just dead weight at that point. And as you start to get more and more advanced, having mass on your lower body is only going to be a bigger and a bigger detriment. Like take the full planche for example. If you have a bunch of weight in your calves and even in your hamstrings and quads, it's going to make that move infinitely harder. Sadly, this also means that if you're born with pretty big legs like me, you kind of have a slight disadvantage from the very beginning. So definitely don't train your legs in this case. Now, I have heard some people mention that training legs might boost your testosterone a little bit. Now, whether this is true or not, it doesn't really affect my answer. Because even if it does boost testosterone a little bit, the disadvantage of training legs just heavily outweighs any positive that you would gain testosterone wise. So without further ado, let me put this into S tier, meaning that it hurt me a lot. Next up on the list, we have drinking alcohol. Now, drinking alcohol is undoubtedly gonna hurt your progress because it's gonna ruin your sleep, it's gonna dehydrate you, and it's gonna ruin hypertrophy. And it's overall just a big stress on your body. If you do it in moderation, it can be not too bad. Like if you have one beer every once in a while, you're probably going to be fine and it's probably not going to affect you all that much. But if you're one of those people who like to go out partying and drink, 10 beers plus, it's going to affect you a lot. From my personal experience, I had a period of my life where I would drink pretty much every single week and it would just affect my progress and affect my recovery a ton. And even though I was young and I wouldn't really feel the alcohol sickness too much the next day, I could still feel it in my workout. Like, you would just feel weak and tired after drinking. So it definitely affects you a lot, even for a young guy like me. So with that in mind, I'm going to be putting it into A tier. Next up on the list, we have not recording your workout. I would recommend that you record those sets where you want to form check yourself. So for example, if you're trying to learn the handstand and you know that your handstand is not perfect, recording yourself can make you realize what you're doing wrong and thereafter fix it. And another thing that recording yourself is very useful for is just tracking your progress. Like for example, if I know that I did a 8-second front lever hold in the past and I want to beat it, do I really want to start and stop a timer and look at that? No, that's just inconvenient. Recording yourself is going to give you the raw footage and the real amount of seconds that you can hold an exercise for. So it's also extremely useful in this case. I can't imagine what it would have been like to do my calisthenics journey without recording myself. It's honestly so important. But I don't think it's more important than skipping out on leg days, so let's put it into A tier. Next up on the list, we have taking advice from elite athletes. Now, you might be a little bit confused. How can taking advice from elite athletes ever be bad? Well, it's not always bad, but in a lot of cases, these elite athletes try to teach you the same things that got them to the end goal. So for example, if I want to learn a 2-finger full planche like you see in the picture right here, could he teach me how to do that from his personal experience? Or is that simply impossible to learn for the average person? Well, it's impossible. So in a lot of cases, these elite athletes have a hard time putting themselves in the perspective of less gifted people. Like if you're someone watching this video right now who have tried for a long time to learn, let's say, an easier skill like the handstand push-up. If an elite athlete comes to you and say, I got that day one, it's easy. You just do the technique wrong. You look at them like, what are you talking about? I don't have the strength for it. I don't have the balance for it. You can't tell me that I just need the technique. So that's really my problem with elite athletes. They don't understand what the average person is going through, their struggles, and therefore taking advice from them can a lot of the times be detrimental. But obviously this is not the case for all elite athletes. Some have learned to teach very well, so I'm going to be putting this one into C tier. Next up on the list, we have ignoring your body's pain signals. Now, just before you're about to get an injury, your body will usually send you some kind of indications that you're about to get injured. For example, a lot of calisthenics athletes get injured in the wrist. This is wrist tendonitis. It's an overuse strain on your wrist. So at first it will start to get a little irritated, maybe a bit scratchy and just a bit painful. At this point, you should listen to your body and you should act upon that pain signal immediately, dial back your training, train a little bit easier for a while, maybe some light activation. But if you choose to ignore that pain signal, it's sadly only a matter of time before that is going to turn to a real injury. I think injury is something that all calisthenics athletes are going to be going through in their calisthenics journey. The nature of calisthenics is just putting so much pressure on your wrist, on your elbow, on your shoulders, on your chest, and so much more. I don't think I've ever heard of anyone not get injured from calisthenics who've been training for over 3 years. So next up, we got training basics. Now you might be thinking, how can training basics ever be detrimental to my progress? I thought that everyone is saying that training basics is the best thing that you can do. And in some cases, training basics is definitely great. Like if you're just starting out with calisthenics, doing push-ups and pull-ups is the absolute best thing that you can do to get your body ready for more advanced skills. However, as you get stronger and as you get better at calisthenics, wasting recovery on basics is gonna hurt you more than it will help you. And the reason why is because specificity is king. If I wanna learn the full planche, is push-ups really gonna help me learn the full planche? Think about it logically. If I could do like 100 push-ups, would that mean that I could do the planche instantly? Not really. You wanna do an exercise that resembles what you're trying to learn. I think as you get into your second year, your third year, your fourth year of calisthenics and so on, doing basics should be less and less of your routine. But a lot of people get stuck in the trap of thinking that basics will get them to the skills that they want eventually, and that's just simply not gonna happen. So I think this is one of the most dangerous things that you can do wrong, but it's also not the most detrimental one. So for that reason, I'm going to be putting this into B tier. Next up on the list, we have training too many calisthenics skills at the same time. Now I'm a big fan of only focusing of about 2 at maximum 3 calisthenics skills at once. For example, you might be focusing on learning the handstand and the muscle up at the same time. That's 2 skills. But if you on top of that add the planche, the front lever, the Hephaesto, way too many skills, it's only gonna slow down your progress. It's basically like spreading yourself out too thin. And everyone that I've seen spreading themselves out too thin have made way less progress than the people just focusing on 2 and at maximum 3 skills at once. If you try to master everything, at the end of the day, you will become a master at nothing. Now, the only thing that sucks about only training 2 skills at once is that the skills that you're not training, like let's say that I have unlocked the planche and the front lever and the 90-degree handstand push-up and the one-arm handstand. Let's say I can do all of those skills. If I do a period of my training where I only train the planche and the front lever, all of those other skills that I'm not training are going to suffer. This is usually a pretty hard pill to swallow because you're going to decrease in progress in those skills that you're not training. And you have to have a strong mindset for you to be able to handle losing progress and being fine with that for a period of time. But just keep in mind that whenever you get back to those skills, and let's say I've not been doing one-arm handstand for a while, if I get back to the one-arm handstand, my body's muscle memory will quickly kick in and I will quickly get that skill back. So just keep that in mind. Whenever you lose progress in something, getting that skill back is going to be much, much quicker than the time it took you to learn that skill in the first place. So just accepting the fact that you can only learn a few skills at once is the most effective way in my opinion. But without further ado, I'm going to be putting this into B tier. Next up, we have not training with bad form. So not training with bad form can actually be extremely detrimental because a lot of people hyper focus on being perfect and doing every movement with the perfect form and the perfect technique. And if you do this, it's actually going to make your progress less. And the reason why is because if I want to learn a new skill like a planche, right now he's doing a piked planche in the image. And that's totally okay, because over time that piked straddle planche is gonna get less and less piked. And just try to think back. Whenever you learned your first muscle up or you learned your first handstand, was it perfect the first time? Or did you do a little chicken wing muscle up the first time you did it? Well, I think I speak for 99.9% of people when I say that we did a little chicken wing muscle up, or we used a bit of momentum to get on top of the bar the first time we did a muscle up. And then after that, what happened? You continued to do muscle ups with bad form over and over again, getting slightly better every single workout. And then one day, you were suddenly able to do the muscle up perfectly. But that didn't happen overnight. You had to do many workouts of doing it badly before it became perfect. So this is the same thing with every single skill in calisthenics. With the planche, with the front lever, with the one-arm handstand, everything. So people hyper-focusing on good form is actually gonna hurt them at the end of the day. Because they're never gonna take that next step that's gonna make them uncomfortable enough to make progress. I'm going to be putting this into A tier. Next up on the list, we have comparing ourselves to genetic monsters. Now, if you look at that guy on the image right there, his name is Jonah, and he's only 15 years old. He has not been doing calisthenics for more than a couple of years, and he's already elite, one of the best in the world. So comparing ourselves to those people, it's only gonna be a thief of joy. Me personally, whenever I first started calisthenics, I was comparing myself to all of these people who learned the full planche in 1 year, learned the front lever in 6 months and stuff like that. I would watch these progression videos and get a little bit jealous of these guys because they could just learn it so quickly. But this is just a wrong mindset to have. Any normal person knows that it takes years to learn the full planche, it takes years to learn the front lever. And with that being said, if you want help from someone who has also struggled in their journey, I didn't learn the straddle planche overnight. I didn't learn front lever pull-ups overnight. If you want help from someone who has struggled, who have put in the work, has put in the hours, there's a link down below to my coaching. I'm telling you, if you're struggling to learn these skills and you're not genetically gifted, I can still teach you how to learn them. Link down below. But with that being said, let's put this one into D tier. And I think that's everything for the list, guys. I didn't put in anything into D tier because maybe we can taking advice from elite athletes into D tier. Because sometimes elite athletes do have good advice. I'm definitely not saying that, but it's just a lot of the time they're so far ahead that you can't really expect them to understand what you're going through. So D tier, I guess that seems good. I really hope that you enjoyed the video, guys. See you in the next one.